Morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms, and our invocation this morning is by Bill Woldridge.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, ask your blessing on our Rotary clubs that are forthcoming deal. We may raise the money to support the safety net, gift of life, the Hudson City Schools program, scholarship, community service. And we thank you for the blessings of living in Hudson and the freedom to enjoy in our country.
Thanks, Bill. And my pledge leader isn't here today, so but you can do it, or I can do it. I'll do it. Please follow me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And four-way test of the things that we think, say, or do. First, is it true? Second, is it all concerned? Third, will friendships. And fourth, all concerned. Thank you. And now our president, Jerry Bortnick.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning, guests. Happy to see everybody today. We have just a few housekeeping things. There will be a board of directors meeting next week because Wednesday is the first of the month. So there will be a board of directors meeting. Please attend, and anybody who wants to come is always welcome. We have our gala committee meeting. We're on weekly meetings now because we're down to the count on this, right, Caroline? Yeah. So, you know, if you have other people to suggest attendance to, get that done. Get out there, get your donations picked up, and hopefully we'll make it a great gala this year. Safer Futures. This is our last week collecting donations for Safer Futures. It is the shelter that provides resources and support for women and their children who have been in bad situations. So it's a really good cause, and they do take good care of them. In fact, I don't know if I told you guys this, when we go to drop things off, we have to call and we meet them at a different place, so we don't even know where the facility is, which is a good thing. So, okay. I think that's it for business today. So let's go ahead and get our service learning kids up here. We love our service learning day. Keeps us in touch with what's going on at the school.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. So I have the pleasure of letting you know that we did just finish our annual spring trip. So we had that at Camp Ledgewood, was our kind of base of operations. The kids volunteered. We worked with a few communities, with a few community organizations in Northfield and Akron. We also worked with the National Parks, Richfield Heritage Preserve. So our kids were all over kind of the area, and they also got to do a cultural event where they went out to Amish country, and so they had an experience with a tour guide. I believe she was an Amish tour guide, and she was able to kind of give them an insight into that community that they might not know as much about. They were able to help out a ton of different people, creating picnic tables, all of that stuff. They also had some really entertaining activities at night. I know we had a kind of not quite impromptu, but we had a karaoke night that ended up lasting for a couple of hours, and then a bonfire that went on after that. So it was quite an entertaining trip, and we hope that the kids had a fun time, because I know I did. And the kids, they did a nice job. We got a lot of really good reports from site supervisors. So outside of staying up really late and doing all of that stuff, they were also doing the hard work when they were at site. So I have the pleasure of introducing you to Maddie Bonilla today. And before I hand the mic over, I just want to let you know she is one of those students who will never ask for any type of praise or anything like that, even though she's absolutely amazing. She's one of the most empathetic students that I think I've met. She's always there to help people around her, and she's incredible at being hardworking and keeping moving, even though she's almost at the end of her senior year. All right, so here's Matt.
Thank you so much. So I'm Maddie Bonilla. I'm a service learning student, and my first site was Community Connections in Akron. It's a site that was basically set up to work with people with disabilities. A lot of it was adults getting out of like high school or whatever until basically the end of their life. And I've learned a lot from working at that site, because a lot of what I've done, both of my sites, my other site was is hospice, and I work with different nursing homes, meeting with different patients that are hospice patients, with memory care, setting up events. But overall, what I've learned the most from both of my sites is how to be more empathetic and be more open to people that maybe I don't relate to as much. I'm someone who tries to build connections with people around me that are different, and I'm someone who likes to embrace those types of connections. But I was able to stretch that even further by working with people who have different struggles than me, people who have different backgrounds than me. Working in Akron, I got to see a lot of different types of people down there, a lot of people that I maybe haven't been exposed to up in an area like Hudson. Working at the nursing homes, I got to work with a different age group than what I'm used to working with. And overall, it's been something that has really helped me build my character and really helped me become more open-minded to people that are different towards me, and also learn about how I can work with different types of behaviors around me. Because it's not every day when I'm working with someone that I'll run into someone with like dementia or Alzheimer's, like I do at the nursing home. And those types of behaviors, sometimes when you're going into something like that without having previous experience, it can be very intimidating. It can be something that I wasn't used to, and like something that you may not be used to. And I feel like being able to know who I was, to be confident in my own decisions, when working with those people and knowing that I was doing everything for my own good and their own good, even if sometimes the reaction I got out of it wasn't the best reaction, I think that really helps me build confidence as a person. And yeah, that's what I learned. Next year, I'm planning on going to Kent State to study psychology, hopefully going on a pre-occupational therapy route, also exploring a lot of things.
Good morning, Rotarians. You're more awake than I am, so that's good. Well, I'm still recovering from our trip. I don't know if I'm a zombie. When you get to be my age, it takes a little longer. You're like 18. So I wanted to thank you for welcoming us as you do every month. It is one of the highlights of our month. We really enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to kind of highlight a couple of our students every time. And quite frankly, it is oftentimes very challenging to decide which two to bring because we have so many who would be so great at this. And before I forget, that luncheon, that end of the year luncheon, when we invite you in, have you come in and have the opportunity to talk to our students about that packet of readings that some of you have done, or some of you just come in. We're going to do that again. And what we are hoping for, we'd love to have as many people who are interested in able to come in as possible. What we are hoping for is the opportunity just to sit there and talk. When we finish up English and service learning as a whole, we want to give them some insights into like, okay, what's that next step going to look like, but also further down the road. So often we kind of go tunnel vision of, oh, I've got to get this and then this and this, and everything will kind of fall in line. And as most of you will probably experience throughout your lives, our lives don't necessarily follow that checklist so cleanly, and that's definitely okay. So we just offer the opportunity for you to share some of your wisdom, maybe some of those things that you wish you would have been older and learned when you were their age, kind of entering a whole new aspect of your life. So that will be Friday, May 10th. And it will be kind of that lunchtime frame by 10:45 to about 12:15 or so. I will send the exact details to Marilyn, and then we'll coordinate a sign up through there. We'd love to have as many people as are interested. You don't have to necessarily come and see it that entire time. We will have new packets, new copies of the packets for anybody who might want one. We'll have those requests go through Marilyn and we'll make those copies for you. If you had them before, you're welcome to reuse them. It's going to be that same packet. Those of you who just want to come and talk, we're not trying to assign you homework, and you can come and talk, and they'll have those packets in the background. But we love that opportunity. Just to build a little bit more on what Brittany said about the pledge, we did also have on Monday Ricky Smith come in, and he would be a great speaker for Rotary, I think, as well. He's that founder of the RAAE rate that we mentioned before. He basically was down to his last $20 living in Los Angeles and was homeless. He decided to take that $20, buy as much pizza as possible, and hand it out to the homeless. So he came in, and we actually kind of recreated that to some degree. We made packed about 1,000 lunches, and then we took them to two different shelters in Cleveland, two different homeless shelters in Cleveland, and dropped those lunches off. So a really cool experience. I know I'll speak for myself. I have perspective of the students thought the same thing. And in terms of the two students we have, I agree with Brittany. These are two of the students who just have so much passion for others, both Maddie and Jack. And when I think about part of the reason I think service learning has been such a positive experience for so many students this year, these are two of the students I would give a lot of that credit to. And I know Brittany already sang the praises of Maddie, so I'll expand it on Jack. He's one of those kids where anybody can just walk up to him and he's always got a smile on his face. He's always going to welcome this person, regardless of what the situation is. He's the one who goes around and kind of hypes people up. And it's really great to have some people in the program that do that. Send him with little kids, and he's a great role model. This is somebody we can truly place anywhere, and he's going to make the absolute best of that situation. So it's a huge credit to Jack. Well, so here's Jack.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? As Mr. Cousins said, I'm Jack Warner. I'm a service learning student, and I've loved it so far. First semester, I was at Head Start in Streetsboro, so that was a really, really cool experience for me. Just being with the little kids was definitely a change of pace for me. I've got a little sister, but she's like 2 years younger than me. Kids are like 10 years younger than me. So it's definitely different, but I just loved it. It was so much fun. And one of my best friends now is at that site, so we always talk about the kids and how they're doing now. And really, I learned a lot there about kind of figuring out how to teach kids socially and how to. We don't have a lot of like direct classes where it's like lectures or worksheets. It's more like through play, how I show them how to share, how to be kind, do things like that. So that was just a great experience. I had so much fun there. This semester, split between two sites. So on Tuesdays, I stay at the high school and I go down the basement and I spend with Mrs. Quinn, who's the English special needs teacher. And that's just so much fun. I love talking to those guys. It's funny because a lot of them, I've gone to Hudson my whole life since preschool. So a lot of them I've like been, like one of them I used to ride the bus with every day. So a lot of them I've known for a very long time, and it's just a lot of like half teaching and like trying to do worksheets and stuff with them, and half just like having a good time with them. Obviously, I love to do it. It's great. I'm also on Wednesdays. I'm at the Salvation Army in Akron. which is also a lot of fun. In the morning, we go in there. I should be going there later today, but we go there, we pack up lunches to go, and then we have like an hour of downtime. So me and my buddy usually either talk to our site supervisor, or we go and play some basketball, which is always fun. And then we open up the kitchen and people start coming in. And it's really cool to be there like from week to week. One of the big things that service learning has taught me is just like how to kind of get out of your shell and just be outgoing, really just like engage people, like remember these people's faces, remember their names, and just talk to them, smile and have fun, have a good time. So there's like several regulars who come in every week, and I see them every week, and we're all like filled in on each other's lives. It's really cool. Like one of the guys is named Mark, and he comes in every week, and I just uh talk to him about wrestling. Usually I'm a wrestler, so he wrestled in high school, so we'll chat about that. One of the women, Kathy, she comes in and she always has a different hairstyle. So I always compliment her and she always laughs. So it's just really cool to like kind of, and I've noticed this at all three of my sites, just really like see community build around you and like dive into that community and really engage in that. And I really noticed, I really got to use those skills a lot this week at Ledgewood, the camp that we went to. We did we did sandwiches for the homeless on the first day with Ricky Smith, and just talking to Ricky was funny, and getting loads of people together. We had students from WRA come in, so getting some new faces, learning new people, meeting them, laughing with them, and then being able to serve with them and go out and help people was such a great experience. And then getting to see the Amish the next day was super fun. Being with your classmates who you built these relationships with, not only this year, but like throughout all of my Hudson education. It's really cool to just kind of go out and experience the community culture. My favorite thing from that was probably you got to see this really cool painting. It's like a room, and it was a circle room, and like there's a painting all the way around. It's all about the Anabaptist faith, which was really interesting. Some guys spent like 14 years back. It was really good. And then the next day I mulched for 5 hours, which was brutal, but it was really cool. We were at a park in Akron, and we were just mulching. And we picked up trash, but it's really cool to kind of to see the transformation and see like how much of an impact I can make, even if it was like just the one part. Just like making that like a more beautiful place and making that place for people to come to, and just have a good time is really cool. And then like Mr. Cousins said every night we just had like a lot of fun. We did karaoke, which was just so cool, and it ties back into what I was talking about. Like there's just people up there who have like I've been going to school with for 10 years, but never really got to know, and now like we're out there singing karaoke together. So Service Learning is just a really cool spot to do that. And that's definitely something I'm going to take into the rest of my life. So I'm going to the Air Force Academy next year. I'm going to pursue electrical engineering degree with a minor in robotics. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. The one thing I've heard about the Air Force Academy is people there can get kind of gloomy. So I'm really excited to try to bring some excitement there. Bring some excitement and smiles at the very least. And just restart again and like, build up that community around me. So thank you guys all for supporting Service Learning, and thank you for having me.
great job. I didn't know that the Air Force Academy was that, but I'll tell you what's beautiful weather out there. Sunshine all the time. Yeah. Good luck out there. Great job, guys. Thanks for this learning team. Wonderful. Good morning, Rotarians, and I'm here to conclude our summer fun month. And our speaker this morning is Allison Boyd from Akron Zoo. And she joined the Akron Zoo in 2017 and is currently responsible for the development and implementation of the annual giving program. She oversees all aspects of the annual fund campaign, which includes direct mail, online, electronic fundraising, and individual stewardship and solicitations. She is the key relationship manager for nonprofit participation, fundraising, and special events and programs. She is also the co-chair of the Zoo's Advisory Council and the Zoo's Social Media Committee. By cultivating donors, connecting to the community, and raising funds for the Akron Zoo, she is able to connect lives to wildlife while inspiring lifelong learning and conservation action. Previously, Allison worked with the Akron Summit Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as the Akron Partnership, where she started. As a passionate community advocate and volunteer, Allison gives up her time and expertise to numerous organizations and local nonprofits. She is a current Akron Marathon and Akron Children's Museum board member and alumnus of Torchbearers 2018 Greater Akron Chamber 30 for the future honoree and past board secretary and board member of Summit Art Space. She's a lifelong resident of Akron and currently resides in northwestern Akron with her husband, Ron, son Parker. So please help me introduce or help me welcome Allison Boyd.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? I apologize that I don't have a furry friend with me. That is something that I am kept far away from, aside from promoting the zoo. Landed there kind of organically. I do not come from an animal care background, as you just heard, but it is definitely a passion of mine to spread sort of our mission and connect lives to wildlife right here in the greater Akron region. Thank you so much for having me this morning. Saying thank you to those students. That is so empowering to hear the work that you're doing and the connection with the Rotary and the community. It makes me feel a lot younger than I am. So thank you for that as well. I appreciate that. If you can advance to the next slide, thank you. So as I stated, we do connect your life to wildlife while inspiring lifelong learning and conservation action. There are 3 pillars that we do that upon: the community, education, and conservation. In case you don't know, the community and education piece is probably the easiest to understand. Obviously, we're a community institution. We connect by bringing people in for field trips, and we have other community days where we allow the community to come in for free with access to the zoo. Our education component, we have programming that we do on site and off site. I was talking a little bit earlier. We have a wonderful grant funded program through the GAR Foundation. We're a essential experience through Akron Public Schools. And so we're one of nonprofits in the local area that gets to interact at a certain grade level with students. And so that education pillar is extremely important for us. And then the last piece that you may not be as aware of is the conservation piece. We are very fortunate that we have and I'll talk a little bit more about this here in a minute or two, but about over 1,000 animals that call our zoo home. And part of that work is keeping those species alive. And so we're very fortunate. We do some conservation fundraising, and then we grant projects all over the world. And there's a slide that'll kind of give you an overview of 2023's projects, but also locally here in the community. And so we're very fortunate that we are able to be in this community and doing that work right here. If you can go. So if you're not aware, the Akron Zoo that you know today did come from very humble beginnings. We opened in May of 1953 as the Akron Children's Zoo. And at the time, we had 12 nursery rhyme themed exhibits that also included a natural history museum, a children's zoo, a bear exhibit, that's what you're seeing in the picture, a rock garden, nature trail, bandstand, picnic shelter, the John Brown Monument, and a recreation area. At this time today, at that time, we were only 1 acre. At this time today, we have over 77 acres and 35 of them are occupied. So we have a little bit more room to grow, which is wonderful. But a quick show of hands, were any of you aware of that information? Or I don't know how, obviously everybody's walks of life to get here locally is different, but that to me was also eye-opening. As mentioned, lifelong resident of Akron. So I just grew up assuming we were sort of what we were, not recognizing that we had grown so much, large in part to a great partnership with the city and obviously the community supporting us through our levy. So so that the bear exhibit there was actually like what you would see as soon as you entered the zoo. It was not, things have changed, I will say that. It was a little more open and free a long time ago, and now a little more enclosed, as you see. You can go to the next slide. So here are some pretty cool key milestones that happened for our zoo in 1979. We did become a private nonprofit 501c3, and we changed our name to the Akron Zoological Park. In 1989, so about 10 years later, we added additional animal habitats, guest amenities were improved, and that same year we were accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which for zoos is an extremely important step to take in making your zoo a world-class facility. We have been accredited ever since. And so for the Akron Zoo to have that happen in 1989 was a really pivotal time for our organization's history. In 2000, we actually had the Summit County voters approve our first ever property tax levy, which was also pivotal for the zoo. I will say that what we have seen in growth over the last now almost 24 full years would not be without the citizens of Summit County. So I do have to say thank you for that, for those of you that have supported voted in support of the zoo. That also enabled us to open year-round a year later, so in 2001. And we still to this day are open year-round. It's 361 days a year. We do close a few days. And then we're open typically 10 to 5 in the summer months, and then 11 to 4 in the winter months. So this is also a very wonderful story I like to tell, is that the zoo was kind of on a mission and has been for the last 10 plus years. Part of that mission was increasing our reach, and this specifically is on grounds numbers. And so as you can tell, when we introduce a new event or we open a new habitat, we traditionally see that attendance grows. As we all know, we did have a little dip in 2018 before the pandemic, just because we did not have anything open, there were no new events. In 2019, before obviously things took a turn, we had opened Pride of Africa, which was one of our largest areas. And so we saw the growth continuing. We were on trend to continue to grow. And then unfortunately in 2020, everything came to a halt. We were closed for a short period of time. We opened back up, I think it was like in June, with limited capacity and restrictions on even our special events. And then in 2021, we were very fortunate to stay on track to open the second new area, which was Wild Asia. Initially, the Pride of Africa and Wild Asia were supposed to happen like back to back. And so because of the pandemic, it did shift it back a year. In 2022, we saw a little bit more growth. And then this past year, very fortunate that we did reach over 412,000 individuals visiting the zoo. And so we, as of, I think a week or two ago, when we looked at March numbers, we are still trending above where we were last year. The other thing I like to state about this is, while it's easy to see that events and habitat openings do help us to grow our attendance. Being in Ohio, it is strictly weather dependent as well. So the opening could be great, a new event could be great, but if the weather is poor, cold and rainy, our attendance does not do as well. With the winter being very mild this year and spring is doing okay. Obviously, we've had some rainy days. That has really helped us to continue to grow that number. You can. So in 2023, again, some of these numbers I, briefly mentioned here, that we did see over 400,000 individuals on site. We had roughly 33,000, a little over 400 participants in our education programs, which again spreads across school districts and preschools and other institutions that want an education component to their programming. We did have over 35,000 participate in field trips. We had a significant number of member households that was high compared to the last few years, over the 13,000. We have 41 species that have species survival plans on site and 6 SAFE programs. SAFE is saving animals from extinction. We did support 25 conservation projects. There are actually 2 extinct species in the wild that call Akron Zoo home. Is anyone familiar or have heard it? There was one that was in the news. So one is the silver fulu fish, and the best place you're going to see that is actually in our reception office. So if you come in our welcome center and turn left, there's the reception office right there, and we have 2 tanks in there, and that's where the silver fulu reside. The second is a little funny, but it is true. It is a snail, the Partula snail. And we actually, as an organization last year, released Partula snails in the wild in Tahiti, and it has been a success. So within, I think, 3 weeks of them being released, there were already signs of the population growth. So again, 2 little things that people wouldn't really think of, maybe aren't people's favorite animals, but very unique to our zoo, and something that we hold very near and dear to our hearts. And the last is, as I mentioned, we are one of 236 AZA accredited zoos worldwide, which we proudly state that, because that is a very, very big deal for our zoo to continue to be accredited. Next slide. So return on investment, and I do apologize. I would have to say in the next few years, we'll be doing the study again. The last time this was done was 2019. But at that time, we are currently still one of the most visited attractions in Summit County. And for every $1 of public support that we have received since 2011, it has generated nearly $8 in impact, over $75 million invested, and $581 returned to the community. And for us, that again is just something that we continue to build upon. The investment in our community is something we don't take lightly, and we strive every day to make sure that we are connecting and growing in the way that this community needs us to. Next slide. All right, so more habitats and more animals. So have any of you not been to the zoo since 2019? Wow, okay, well then you all need to visit. Sorry, I got very excited about that. Please come and see me and you can visit. So in 2019, as I mentioned right before the pandemic, we did open the Landon and Cynthia Knight Pride of Africa. That is an expanded area. If you had been in recent years before 2019, the best way to describe it, it is right behind Grizzly Ridge. So where Grizzly Ridge and the gardens had ended, it continues on. That area houses an expanded train ride. It has a boma, which consists of goats that you can feed, so that's where our goats are now. And then we have gazelles and white storks and guinea fowl that are in a mixed use habitat. And then a small play respite area for kids and families. We do have family restrooms up there. We also a few months ago installed an adult changing table, which was one of the first in the county as well, in partnership with the Summit County Disabilities Board. And then the lions called Pride of Africa home. So we currently have 2 prides of lions. We have Tamara and Mandisa, who have been residents of the zoo for quite some time. So if you had been when it was Tiger Valley and the lions lived there, then this is still the same pair. And then the second pride is 2 females and a male, which we received when we opened Pride of Africa, Donovan, Kataba, and Masinga. And the hope is in hopefully a soon recent time, we will be able to have cubs. Part of the reason we have not is that population is driven by the species survival plan. And at this point in time, there is not a need for additional lions in the area, especially with their family and their lineage. So so visit us specifically for that. And then the other wonderful space that we opened was the Laner Family Wild Asia in 2021. And that is where the old Tiger Valley was. And so it is home to our red pandas, our Sumatran tigers, and our white-cheeked gibbons. The Sumatran tiger is the same tiger we had when it was Tiger Valley. We do have 2 residents, though. We have a male and female, and we have 2 habitats in this space. So most days you will see 2 tigers. They're just going to be separated. The white-cheeked gibbons were actually, we had not had gibbons in quite some time. So it was kind of a new animal and space for us. It is now known as one of the best gibbon habitats in the United States. The one thing that makes it very unique is that it's very true to their natural habitat. And within, I forget the full months, I want to say it was like 9 months of us opening, they actually had their first baby. So now we have a given family. It's Parker, Milo, and Lolani is the baby. I think she's coming up on 3 years now this December, with the hopes that in recent years we will also have more baby gibbons as well. So that space is really cool to see. And then the red panda habitat is also just kind of a larger space for them. We did have 3 sisters that lived with us. One of the sisters got moved to another zoo. She unfortunately just did not play well with her sisters. And then recently we did have one of our red pandas pass away, but we still have one of the sisters that calls our zoo home with plans for, more in the future. And then in the last few years, we've added a few, while we didn't add new spaces, we did add a few new animals to some of our sort of rehabitated areas. We added the white-naped cranes in 2022 and the tufted deer. And then just last year, in place of our capybara, which we had had for quite some time, we now have Patagonian Mara, and we have 2, they're sisters. They are very cute. They're the one pictured there on the slide. They're very petite. And you'll find them between like the jaguar and the bat building. They're kind of tough. But yes, aside from that, we did have a little bit of a baby boom in 2021. We welcomed red wolf pups, the Humboldt penguin chicks, Lolani, as I mentioned, and another gazelle, and also an Indian Concord chick. So we're hoping this year might be kind of the same trend. A few of our animals are potential to be parents. So look for that news, because we will share the happy baby food news when we have it. Next slide. So just touching really quickly about the accreditation process, we always, as I say, like to pride ourselves that we treat every single thing we do with purpose and grace and integrity. And I think that plays out in our perfect inspection that happened in June of 21. We became one of only 3 zoos in 50 years to receive a perfect accreditation inspection following an on-site visit, an evaluation of our operations where there is like multi-page printed documents that are looked through from everything from finances to facilities and grounds to fundraising to special events to guest services, you name it. And we were wonderfully given the perfect score. And so for us, we just really feel so much gratitude for this. And as I said, it really just kind of shows the testament of the type of institution and community partner we want to be here in Northeast Ohio. Next slide. So a little bit about our educational opportunities. So I know this does say where kids love to learn, which is kind of the first step to the learning, but we do feel like we still educate adults as well. It's not just a place for children. The best thing that we feel is that these kids get to come to a place where they may never see some of these animals for a multitude of reasons. And having access to the zoo, the education opportunity is sort of our entry point. And so while we work closely with a handful of local school districts, you know, there are a lot that also bring other students on field trips or their families bring them. And so for us, it is just really a way that we can connect them to wildlife in a safe space while also connecting them to community. So a few other things about the zoos, we really focus on sustainability. As you can see here, we have a very long list, which is continuing to grow on some of our LEED certified buildings, excuse me. So the Komodo Kingdom, which is housing our cafe currently and our Curious Creatures habitat and also education classrooms, it was the first LEED certified building in Summit County, along with the cafe being the first 4-star green restaurant in Ohio and in any US zoo. We have reduced water usage by 80% over 5 years. I would have to say that some of these numbers are probably increased because we do them on an annual basis. So even the like composting over 3.6 million pounds, it's probably closer to 4 million pounds now, I would say. Organic waste. The Mike and Mary Stark Grizzly Ridge was a LEED silver certified facility. We did install, I think this was back in 2017, 2018, a state-of-the-art composter called Big Hannah. We do refer to her as Big Hannah. She gets fed every day, and it includes organic waste, and we only utilize compostable items on zoo grounds. So some of those compostable items she gets fed as well. And then after a very long process, she produces mulch and things for us that we then use on grounds. She resides in her own building in our lower level C lot. But if you are ever at the zoo and you hear someone on the radio or someone talking about Big Hannah, we are talking about the composter and not an animal or a person. And then also when we opened the Pride of Africa and Wild Asia, those were also LEED certified as well. So we definitely, you're fine. I was just going to finish out by saying that being LEED certified and sustainably friendly is something that's at the forefront of every project that we are working towards. So here is a little bit about those conservation programs that I mentioned. So every year we have a conservation department now with a project manager and an assistant. We receive applications for grants, we fundraise for the conservation money, and then we award certain organizations the money to then fund those projects. So in 23, we supported 25 conservation projects or programs, both locally and globally. 9 of those projects are based within the US. 3 of them in South America, 7 in Asia, 1 in Oceania, and 3 in Africa, and then 2 just kind of globally, meaning that their projects don't reside in one continent or place. They kind of go all over depending upon the animal or the work that they are supporting. 7 of the ones that we supported in the US are actually in Ohio, and 4 of them are citizen science projects, which one of them, Frog Watch, if you may have heard about it because we've done some requests for volunteers. That program is now being housed at the Akron Zoo. It used to be housed through like the AZA, and some of the zoos were key partners. We now oversee that. So that was a big deal for us last year, taking on the project. And then the other is the Christmas bird count, which we do every winter. There's a group of volunteers that go out and they just track birds, and then we report on what type of birds are living in the area, just to see if populations are growing or if new birds have kind of migrated here. So that is something that, again, we don't always talk about a lot. It's not the thing that people always want to hear about, but it is very important for the work that we're doing in saving species right here in Akron. So something that I am very proud of, and my role sits in our external affairs department, which is really just new within the last 9 or so years, is that we, strive to be a wonderful community partner. What that has looked like in recent years is truly partnering with other nonprofits and community institutions to just allow better access to the zoo. Some of the ways we do that is that we host some days where we have free admission in partnership with other nonprofits. In March, we do inclusion days with Summit DD. Just earlier this month, we hosted Wear Blue Day with Children's Services. And then there's some other things that we've done just with smaller organizations. We partner with the Akron Children's Museum to offer discounted admission. We're doing a neighborhood block party in June where we've invited our direct neighborhood to come to the zoo for free. They get to come and bring their family, and the zoo's open for them just to access it. And for us, it's a way to kind of meet the community where they are. And so if we can get them in once and we give them access to the zoo, we've been able to see that they have been able to come back to enjoy it, or they, bringing friends and family to enjoy it as well, and making that safe space as the zoo as well for accessibility. So that kind of ties into this whole removing barriers. So since 2016, we have provided, almost 136,000 general admission tickets worth over $1.6 million. And part of that includes partnerships that, again, are just organizations that their clients or community members wouldn't be able to make it to the zoo on a regular day. We are certified sensory inclusive through Culture City, so we have resources available in our receptionist office if you have any sensory issues. We are a partner in the Museum for All program, which allows discounted admission if you hold an Ohio EBT card. We host an event in partnership with Akron Children's Hospital called Dream Night, where patients and their families are allowed to come to the zoo one evening for free, and they're treated as a VIP. That's one that we kind of hold near and dear to our heart, because those kids sometimes don't, sometimes they're not leaving the hospital a lot, or they're not leaving their home a lot. And Children's has staff on grounds, and we sort of adjust the whole evening so that they can enjoy it with their families and just sort of have a little night away that's a little more of a breather for them. And then, as I mentioned, inclusion days with Summit County Developmental Disabilities Board. That one has really grown. We just celebrated our 5th year this year, and we've had over 13,000 individuals visit us during those inclusion days. And then last year, we were awarded the age-friendly seal of approval for Summit County. We were also the first nonprofit in the county to receive that that seal of approval. And really what that means is that we are just a very accessibility friendly space. That our signs are easy to read, that we have adequate seating, that there are restrooms nearby, that there is staff able to greet you if you have questions, that we have, scooters and wheelchairs on property. And so for us, that was also, a really good thing and a really big deal because we work really hard to make sure that we are accessible to all. Next slide. So in 2021, we were awarded a pretty wonderful grant to do some DEAI work, so diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion. Part of that work included doing the research and collecting the data to be able to see where we needed to change and grow and adapt. We needed some policy revisions and infrastructure to support this work. We needed to be held accountable for what we were doing, and that along all of that, we needed the staff to come with us to be able to be a wonderful place. Next slide. So as you can tell, this is sort of, and I apologize because it's sort of a wonky chart, but how we would get to where we needed to be and then what our outcomes were. So a lot of it had to happen sort of internally. That is where our internal inclusion advisory council was formed because there were things that staff needed to do. Obviously, our executive team had to lead the charge, our people and culture department, and then it would kind of go down from there into the departments and positions. And so for us, the key takeaways and outcomes we wanted to see was that we had a representative staff of our Summit County demographic, that we had a diverse group of visitors, that we use diverse suppliers, that we have these wonderful diverse partnerships, and that we provide an inclusive workplace. And so for us, we really, the grant has now been complete. As I mentioned, the Inclusion Advisory Council was in place, so we actively meet monthly. Some examples of the things that advisory council does is there may be, for accessibility, we might have someone say, oh, the step to that is too large of a step, or a wheelchair can't get over it. And so they would come to the Inclusion Advisory Council, and then we would work with the appropriate departments to make sure that we were adjusting that so that all individuals could safely step up or step down. And so the work didn't end though. So there's a lot more that we are doing with the Neighborhood Block Party. Part of that research, when it included the third party company, we did some listening tours. And so we have been working through what we were told by the community to make sure that we were, making a better, place for all. So the zoo is a place for everyone. I know, I've talked a lot about a lot of things as an internal and external organization and as a community institution, but it's not just a simple visit. There's on-grounds programs. You can become a member. We do still offer some virtual education programs, birthday parties, special events, company outings, zoo camp, which is wonderful for families and their kids. And so this is just a small listing of the ways that individuals do connect with the zoo. So what's next? So we completed a 10-year strategic plan, I think the end of 22, beginning of 23. And a large part of what was included in that strategic plan is that our community wants to see more experiences and more animals right here in Akron. A large part includes our education, but also just the guest experiences. So if you were not aware, when we passed the levy in 21, we did promise giraffes. And so we are working very diligently. The tentative plan right now is that in 2028, giraffes will be at your Akron Zoo, along with some additional smaller species. That expansion is actually going to go behind Grizzly as well, and also tie into Pride of Africa, so that it'll kind of connect nicely and just sort of loop around. We're not, developing on an area that doesn't make sense to connect. And so we're working very hard on that. The other thing is the reaching more students. We are aiming to reach 100% more students with our STEM educational opportunities, which is well on its way as we move through the next few years. So the other thing, and as I mentioned, we don't have an updated economic impact study, but we want to work really hard to make sure that what we're doing and the resources that we have are available, and that we are, sorry about that, that we are making sure that our community impact is growing, which we, anticipate that it will be larger when we run that report again.
It's a really pleasant place to just go if you want to just go to a peaceful place for a day and get some fresh air or something, just even for adults. You don't have to be a child to appreciate the zoo, and it's easy to get to, and it's really a nice facility. So thank you very much. That was very informative. I neglected to mention also, don't forget about the conference this weekend. If anybody can sneak out for a little while, you don't have to be there all day. It's all day Friday, all day Saturday. There's some great things going on. You should have it in your email. And you do need to pre-register so they know you're coming, especially if you're planning on staying for lunch or dinner. But yeah, even if you can get out for a couple of the speakers, I think you would definitely enjoy it. Okay. All right. Our Rotabuck for today, we have a $7 payout. Would you mind picking I'll have you choose our winner today. We have $210 in the big one. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got it. Okay, the big winner today, 614231. 231. Oh, Phil, good on you. Okay, hold on, I'll bring this out to you. Okay. There's that. And now let's see. It's in there.
Okay, here we go.
Not today. Not today. But it was a good try. It was a good try. Okay. All right. Well, hey, what a great meeting today, guys. Loved our service learning kids. Loved the Akron Zoo presentation. So get out there and make it a great day.